All right, let's dive into a story that's, well, it's a huge paradox. Think about this. The very revolution that let us double our lifespans, the one that beat back the plagues that haunted our ancestors for centuries, that same revolution might have just created an even bigger threat to our health. It's a story all about progress and the hidden price tag that came with it.
So the big question we're digging into today is just wild. For pretty much all of human history, right, we were stuck in this brutal fight against starvation and infectious diseases. And then, almost overnight, we won. I mean, we really, really won. But here's the twist. The very things that handed us that victory are now threatening our entire future. How on earth did that happen?
Okay, so to really get a handle on the mess we're in, we have to start by looking at just how incredibly successful we've been. I'm talking about the last 200 years. What happened in that time was, without a doubt, the single biggest, most mind-blowing leap forward in human health and how long we live, ever.
And to help us make sense of this huge shift, there's a really useful idea from an epidemiologist named Abdel Amran. He called it the epidemiological transition. It's basically a theory that explains how the reasons we die change over time. It's like we traded one set of problems for another. We stopped dying from things like the plague and infections and started dying from things like heart disease and cancer, the so-called diseases of modern life.
So Amran, he saw this happening in 3 big stages, or ages. For thousands and thousands of years, humanity was stuck in the first one, the age of pestilence and famine. I mean, life was just short, nasty, and you never knew what was coming. But then, around the 1800s, the tide started to turn. Thanks to science, sanitation, all that good stuff, we entered the age of receding pandemics. And that led us right to where we are today, in the third age, the age of degenerative and man-made diseases. This is the era where the big killers aren't plagues anymore. They're things like heart attacks and cancer.
And Amran put it perfectly. He said this third age was the moment we finally, smashed through that 50-year life expectancy barrier. Just think about that. For all of history, that was the ceiling. Hitting 50 was a big deal. This was the moment our species didn't just survive. We started to truly thrive.
So what was the engine behind all this? What gave us the power to pull ourselves out of thousands of years of sickness and kick off this insane population boom? What changed?
Yeah, let's just look at the raw numbers for a second. Go back to 1800, right, when this all started kicking off. The total number of people on planet Earth, about 1 billion.
Now to get to the next billion, it took more than 120 years. So we hit the 2 billion mark sometime around 1922. But then, things get crazy. After that, in less than a single century, we added another 5 billion people. Just boom! It's a population explosion that is absolutely unlike anything this planet has ever witnessed before. And the answer for how we did it? It's really simple, and it's right under our feet. Fossil fuels. Coal, oil, natural gas, this stuff supercharged everything. It powered the machines on our farms, which give us way more food than we'd ever had. It fueled the trucks and trains that brought that food to our growing cities, and it ran the sanitation systems that stopped those cities from being death traps. Our entire modern world, our long lives, it was all built on a foundation of carbon. But there's always a but, isn't there? Every big revolution has a catch. And the side effect of burning all that carbon, the very thing that saved us from the old diseases, was silently, in the background, creating a brand new threat. A threat on a planetary scale. Just look at this. For hundreds of thousands of years, the amount of CO2 in our atmosphere was pretty stable, hanging out around 280 parts per million. Today, it's over 400 and still climbing. We haven't just tweaked the atmosphere, we have fundamentally changed its chemical makeup. And what's the result of that? Well, it's pretty simple physics, a warmer planet. So far, the global average temperature has gone up by almost a full degree Celsius. Now, I know, 1 degree doesn't sound like a lot, right? But for an entire planet, that's like a person running a high fever. It's a huge, huge deal. And this leads us to a really stark choice, a kind of carbon dilemma. Scientists have done the math, and to keep warming from getting completely catastrophic, we have a budget of about 800 gigatons of carbon left to burn. The problem? If you look at the fossil fuels we've already found and plan to use, our proven reserves, that's about 2,800 gigatons worth. So, yeah, we have 3 to 4 times more fuel ready to go than our climate can possibly handle. Okay, so how does a warmer planet circle back and threaten all those amazing health gains we were just talking about? Well, the great tragic irony here is that climate change takes a sledgehammer to the very foundations of public health that we worked so hard to build.
There was this huge study in a medical journal called The Lancet, and it basically laid out 6 main ways climate change messes with our health. You can kind of think of them as the 6 horsemen of the climate health apocalypse. And we're not just talking about abstract environmental stuff. This affects the food on your plate, the water in your glass, the spread of diseases, and even the safety of the very place you live.
And look, this isn't some far-off, futuristic problem. It is happening right now. The number of food-related emergencies around the world, it's doubled since the 80s. Glaciers are melting so fast that they're threatening the water supply for more than 1 billion people. And we've already seen what extreme weather can do. That crazy heat wave in Europe back in 2003, it caused over 60,000 deaths. The sheer human cost of all this is it's staggering. We're not talking about minor inconveniences here. We're talking about what could be the largest forced movements of people in all of human history. This isn't a problem for our grandkids to solve. It is a crisis happening right now, in our lifetime.
Okay, but this story does not have to end in disaster. The good news is, the same science that shows us the problem also points toward the solution. It's like, just as a doctor writes a prescription for a patient, climate science is offering us a prescription for a healthier planet.
And this means we need to completely change how we think about this. Taking action on climate change isn't some terrible burden, and it's not just about saving polar bears, as important as they are. It is, and this is the key, probably the single greatest opportunity we have to improve public health in the 21st century.
We're basically standing at a fork in the road, with 2 very different futures. Down one path, the path of doing nothing, we get more of those man-made diseases that Amran talked about, but supercharged by a chaotic climate. But the other path, the climate action path, leads to all these amazing health co-benefits. Basically, positive side effects that make us healthier right here, right now.
Think about it. When we move away from fossil fuels, we don't just help the climate in the long run. We instantly get cleaner air to breathe. That means less asthma, less heart disease right away. When we design our cities for people, not just cars, we end up walking and biking more. That helps fight obesity and diabetes. It's a total win-win. We get a healthy planet, and we get healthy people.
And that brings us right back to the beginning, to this paradox. We're at this incredible crossroads in history. Our victory over the old diseases built the modern world, but the very engine of that victory is now threatening to tear it all down. So the real question for us, for everyone, is what's next? Is this age of man-made diseases going to be our final chapter before a climate collapse? Or could it be the start of something new? A fourth age, an age of sustainable health for both people and the planet. The really wild part is, the choice is up to us.